Hello, everyone. Jesse Webb, TradersPro. Let's take a look at market conditions. I've got some names up here that we'll take a look at here in a minute. CPI numbers just came out. Markets are moving a little bit. They were at least kind of volatile here the last 15 minutes, but CPI numbers came in about in line with estimates, which were still quite high, above 5%, and that's still double where the Fed needs them to be, around 2%. So moving down, though, over the last year over year, I believe they were over 8% in the fall, towards the end of the summer. So that trade maybe start to become the interest rate trade, where if the Fed is going to hold interest rates stable to lower, they're at least not going to raise anymore. They're obviously slow to the game oftentimes, and then late to leave. So we don't necessarily want to pay too close attention to what they're doing versus what price activity is doing. What price activity is doing is we're kind of seeing this little stealth bull market, which has been moving here in the last 4 or 5 days, where you're seeing buying interest come back in. The buy-sell ratio has really popped here on this, and so we're definitely seeing that climbing the wall of worry. Let's look at direction alerts. This long-term trend, if you've been following these videos for the last month or so, we've seen this number move from -20 back up to -12. Historically, on this indicator, this is typically about the extreme edge of this, so we were pretty deeply oversold, and this it's moving in the right direction, and that's this red line right here, where we're seeing this crossover into this bear market territory last May, and now we've just been dipping that out. You can see that move right here. So we've been in this bear market since here. Now we're kind of working our way, clawing our way back in the upward direction. So we're definitely seeing some good base building. This pattern here, this traditionally is a really bullish pattern called an inverted head and shoulders. This that upside down head and shoulders. And when you have this first move here and then a counter trend. Now what'll be real interesting in the next few days is if we get a solid breakout above this trend line. This is an SPY S&P 500 chart. Then we really could be off to the races to the upside. It'll be interesting to see. And this sentiment, which we've been talking about, has not budged at all. And that can sometimes, typically, you don't get major market bottoms without that. So we either may be working on another little move higher and then lower. Or we're just going to continue one way or the other. We're going to continue higher, and then we'll see which direction. We'll see what happens once we get there up to these resistance. But if we could break out of that resistance area, that trend line, that'll be bullish for the market. You're also seeing breadth, which has moved pretty strongly back up to 75. That means that 75% of S&P 500 stocks are trading above their 50-day moving average. So you're getting, it's also matching with our buy-sell ratio, which is also showing breadth. That's showing participation, and we've got a really strong uptrend happening. The sentiment, now this is obviously trending. I've talked about this halfway line. We're breaking up above that, so we're definitely moving in this direction. That bear market is still the overall bias, so we still have to be a little bit cautious here. But a couple of things that are interesting to take a look at is in looking at a possible shift change, a leadership change, if we're going to go from the oil, energy, aerospace, basic material, transportation, utilities, those have been leading, back down to these. If we go into, I'm kind of surprised staples have not moved, but technology in a high interest rate world typically does the worst. And we're also seeing this medical, there's a bunch of them in there, but we're seeing a lot of the medical stocks, particularly the biotech stocks, that are moving strongly. One of the areas, though, is this construction. What's happening here, if you notice this construction and then your home builders, you're building residential, there's 22 buys in there. They're all buys in that category. Those are your DR Hortons, those are your KB Homes. Look what they've been doing. They've kind of just been moving higher. So home builders are building construction. Anticipation of that construction is actually taking off. DR Horton, Pulte Homes, KB Homes, Toll Brothers. These are all the big boys in the home building construction world, and they've all been breaking out and starting to move higher. They're in a large downtrend, but these stocks actually could really be kind of a leading indicator that interest rates are no longer being super focused on, or that the idea that they've peaked and that they're going to start coming down in that sector. So keep an eye on some of those home building stocks. If we look at the new buy list, we still have some really nice tech names. I should say biotech names. Solar moved yesterday. We saw several stocks in solar taking a pop. We're seeing, this is a supermarket stock. Let me just refresh here, make sure I've got the current updated list, and then we'll scan through those real quick and take a look what else we have. This was an interesting one. This was ICVX, had a massive run up from $3. Probably had some day trading activity in there during these. That's when you see these real large ups and downs, and then a retracement, and then a move. So it may be certainly a speculative type trade, but biotech, biomedical, that's where speculation is happening right now. So you can keep an eye on some of those. Those trends may be relatively strong. You're also seeing, here's another one that actually had a really nice looking pattern. The only thing to this one, like some of the others we looked at the other day, is when you get a real strong move like that, it becomes extreme. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to reverse, as I've mentioned, but it may pause for a little bit. You may get a black bar or a couple black bars, maybe even retesting this, and then some continuation. Nonetheless, it sets a great setup for risk management, and that is looking for where, if I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong right here. I need to initially start out with a stop loss in this location. That would allow me for some more, that would allow me to be able to at least know what my worst case scenario is in terms of where's my risk management need to be. It would be a stop loss below that breakout bar. It's a nice looking pattern there as well. It's a biomed stock. STLD, which is a steel stock. We saw steel moving yesterday. Keep an eye on steel as well. Those are nice. Those are continuing higher. And we're also seeing, if you go on sectors and go to commodities, you're also seeing steel right here. It's now one of the top ranked commodity ETFs, and it's moving, so it's breaking out as well. SLX, which is steel itself. So that's part of the reason why you're seeing these steel stocks taking off. Keep an eye on those this week. Go through that new buys list. I think there's some nice looking setups there. You're seeing here's Nucor, Steel. If you're just glancing through some of those names, and pretty nice setups there. If you don't have full access to the site, you can sign up using the link below, and we look forward to having you. Have a great day today.